time to study for it. All the while, you're trying to frantically get together all the different types of information that you need for this exam. Every student has had a similar situation such as this without ever having been taught the strategy. The strategy I'm talking about is procrastination, the horrible, anxiety-producing downward spiral of despair we all know and love, yet we've all done it before. Why is this? Why do we leave assignments that need to be done for the last minute? George A. Akerlof in Procrastination and Obedience puts it eloquently, saying that procrastination occurs when present costs are unduly salient in comparison with future costs. A study in academic procrastination, frequency and cognitive behavior correlates, talked about the 342 college students that they reported on, and how they were assessed based on two factors that affected how often they would procrastinate: the fear of failure and the aversiveness of the task at hand. A second study in the Journal of Research and Personality, Clary H. Lay talked about how procrastination is positively related to measures of disorganization, but independent of need achievement and self-esteem. And what this means is that based on higher scores on these scales, the people that were reported on were more likely to leave their tasks to be finished after the deadline that had been presented. A third study, Procrastination, Deadlines, and Performance, Self-Control by Pre-Commitment, talked about the outlier procrastinators, the people and students that would set self-deadlines for their own assignments. What the report was studying was whether these self-deadlines gave the students enough time to finish their assignments to their maximum potential. Procrastination is a lot like punching yourself in the face. Now hear me out on this. Everybody hold your hand out in front of you. Now, if it's slowly approaching you and you can see it, you could get out of the way, as long as you saw it coming. Now, put it back to its original position. Close your eyes. Now bring your fist as close to your face as possible without touching it. Now open your eyes. This is exactly what you're doing to yourself by procrastinating for certain assignments. The main point is that distracting yourself from the work that needs to be done only hurts yourself, and there are plenty of ways that you can avoid it. So how do we fix this? Well, as I'm sure comes as a shock to most of my audience, by getting to work immediately and not leaving things for the last minute is the best way to remedy this problem. By doing this, you can eliminate stress, you can have a higher chance at increasing your grades, and you can avoid most of the problems that are brought about by procrastinating. I'm lucky enough to not be afflicted with any type of overwhelming anxiety or nervousness, but I've talked to plenty of people, most of my friends, who are constantly battling with their assignments, whether it's getting in the assignment on time or worrying about whether all the work that they've done is actually going to be worth it and get the grade that they want. They're constantly stressing out about it. So what I tell them is the same I tell everybody. Working in a calm and organized fashion is one of the best ways that you can reduce stress pertaining to college work. What I mean by calm and organized is that I mean as soon as you get an assignment, you work on it day by day, bit by bit, in small shifts. That way, you're not burning yourself out by getting to work on a single class and doing a bunch of assignments that you had left for the day right before it was all due. And it works better for helping you absorb the information that you're working with. Doing all your assignments in one sitting just before the deadline can leave you burned out. And what this means is that you won't want to do any other work for any of your other classes, which can help repeat the cycle. Working with a clear head and confidence backing you is one of the best strategies you can implement in college, as opposed to frantically trying to gather the materials you need for an exam or a lecture the next day with 3 hours of sleep under your belt. If you fall into that second category, you're putting yourself at a greater risk for losing points on grades and for adverse effects of physical and mental health. Speaking of grades, if you have more time to work on an assignment because you started it earlier, that means you're less intimidated by the deadline. If you're less intimidated by the deadline, that means you have more time to revise the work that you'd be submitting. And what this means is that you can look over a rubric that may have been provided for the assignment. You can talk to your TA via email and ask any questions that you might have about the assignment, or you can look over previous assignments that you might have lost points on due to procrastinating and looking over certain aspects. All this information might seem obvious, but a lot of students, despite knowing the dangers that come with procrastinating, they continue to do it. They lose points, they lose sleep, and they affect their physical and mental health. But losing points and grades is only the beginning. Negative self-destructive emotions, such as disappointment with grades that you may receive back, or self-loathing because you waited till the last minute, can potentially harm you. In psychological science, the longitudinal study of procrastination, performance, stress, and health, procrastination is linked to multiple adverse mental health variables such as depression, low self-esteem, and anxiety. Those suffering from these types of emotions can potentially lash out at those who might be trying to help them. A friend who's trying to reach out and help someone with their study habits or just lend a helping hand might be attacked by the procrastinator. The procrastinator's perspective might see other people trying to help them as them being pitied, looked down on condescendingly because they can't handle their own responsibilities on their own. Procrastinating is a lot like a double-edged sword, but you don't only hurt yourself, you hurt those around you by continuing its use. The hardest part about procrastinating is trying to stop it and change your study habits, as the only person who can change your study habits is yourself. Signing a pledge or having you write down that you'll get to work on an assignment as soon as it's assigned is not going to change your study habits, and it never will. I provided you all with the information that you need to succeed in college in this day and age. I've warned you about anxiety, how avoiding procrastination can help with your understanding of knowledge that you're presented in your classes, and the dangers of continuing to procrastinate. Only hoping that you guys may change your study habits if you are afflicted with this type of issue might seem lazy, but I've provided all the information that I can in this case. The rest is up to you. So I hope that you all get to study early and knock out all of your exams. Thank you.